Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Star Trek Adventures Warp Onyx campaign, the continuing adventures of Starfleet Lieutenant Security Archibald. And today we continue the Ryeshar bottle episode. All right, so the Ryeshar have this world where they make their primary living hunting these things called King R's. And these King R's are these horribly deadly megalodon, poisonous giant octopus amalgamations. And so basically Science Officer Rutger comes to the bridge crew and says, listen, the Ryeshar have this planet, and we want to make first contact with the Ryeshar for a very unusual reason. And I'm coming to you from despite the scientific community. So Science Lieutenant Rutger, he's kind of a point person for all the different scientists on the ship. And he said, there's been this talk among the science community, and logistics crewman Elvor has this belief that a Vulcan ship that disappeared 12 years ago, a Vulcan shuttle, which was lost, and 12 Vulcans were lost, and it was never found. It simply disappeared. It disappeared off the map, right? And this is extremely unusual because the Vulcans are extremely, they're one of the most adept species in all of Starfleet. They almost never don't know. And this is just an area where they don't know. Now, every scientist on the ship did not want me to bring this to you, but I'm bringing it to you. And the reason why is logistics crewman Elvor says that this 12-year-old lost Vulcan shuttlecraft is in the sea, is in one of the seas on Ryeshar. Okay, and all of his data sources are complete garbage. And that's why the scientists did not want me to bring this to you. Every single source he has is not checked out by Starfleet, not accepted as an official scientific source. But logistics crewman Elvor came to me. He presented his findings and his source data. I looked at all his source data, said this is absolute garbage. And then I did a planetary scan on Ryeshar from far away, and sure enough, there's a 60-foot piece of metal in the ocean on Ryeshar, exactly where where logistics crewman Elvor says it would be. So this is a lot, so one, we're going to be doing first contact. There's a good chance this is going to turn south and nothing's going to be there. The other thing is, this is the first time we're ever doing first contact for a secret reason, right? We want to figure out this. So it would be extremely beneficial to Starfleet if we could solve a mystery that the Vulcans could. And the reason why is, if you haven't noticed, the Vulcans are they treat us like intergalactic children, right? And we need to make some ground on them. And if logistics crewman Elvor is right, then that means that that we'll make some ground on. We'll actually make ground against the Vulcans, right? And they'll have less reason to treat us like children, because we're solving our own mysteries, we're finding our own path, right? They helped us to gain the ability to fly among the stars, but now we want to do more, right? So this is important, right? So Archer, lets the bridge crew vote. And one of the things that I've been doing is, as a dungeon master, I'm doing the best I can, right, using the Modiphius 2d20 system for Star Trek Adventures to put a lot of tension on the crew, right? And so when they disagree, this is problematic for Archibald, because it causes tension, right? And it is wild in a Dungeons and Dragons game. This crew tension, there's nothing like it, right? Like Dungeons and Dragons has never built a system where, oh, if you guys are working together as a team, everything's going to be great. Like Dungeons and Dragons is like, we don't care how your characters interact with each other. All that matters is you swing your sword and you do DA damage. So there really is no, and that is not the case. Modiphius 2d20 really built this system where, like, the cohesiveness of the team actually matters, right? And so we spend a lot of time with like, ooh, this person doesn't like you and that person doesn't like you, and it feels very realistic to Star Trek. And I kind of miss it in Dungeons and Dragons. And I'm thinking that I really think Modiphius 2d20, a lot of their elements need to be brought over into Dungeons and Dragons. That's why I was going there. So at this point, Archer takes everybody's opinion, and it is really interesting because I think on the show, Archer is this really powerful voice, but here he's a listener. In my campaign, he's a listener. And he is demanding a lot from each one. Like, if you're not delivering, he's not going to, continue to throw you the ball, right? Also, T'Pol really hasn't done much so far. I really leaned a lot on Sato, Mayweather, and Tucker. Those are the characters I really like to use, which is really fascinating because essentially I'm writing the script, and the gold player is writing the script, and it's pretty incredible, right? So they decide to, yes, we're going to go down and we're going to try to do this. But everybody's like, and the thing is, this is Starfleet making connection with a new species. And this is for the first time to secretly find a piece of metal that is on their ocean floor, right? So that's dangerous because there's an ulterior motive to first contact here, right? And normally when they're encountering new species, they're like, oh, we're exploring the galaxy. But right now, no, we're trying to get a little ahead of the Vulcans. So that's kind of risky, which I thought was very interesting. All right. So at this point, Tucker comes forward and he explains the deal. Actually, I'm sorry, Rucker, science officer, science lieutenant Rucker comes forward and says, okay, listen. Here's so first of all, we're going to have to disguise you guys as Cardassians. And the reason why is they're very close to human, right? And a group of, and we're going to send down an away team of 4, right? And Tucker's going to choose that away team. And then, and we're going to get everybody set, right? So kind of interesting. And so at this point, we're like, okay, so you're going down and disguised as going on a fishing trip. So these King R's hunts that happen, they can hunt these King R's all year round. And the reason why is since they use sail ships, it's extremely dangerous, right? And like literally a third of these ships that go out to hunt King R's are destroyed, and every sailor on them dies, right? Now, among the Ryeshar, that's an honorable death. They're all remembered. Up in orbit, there's like plaques on a wall for them, right? And basically, they make money off of hunting these King R's, right? But they're also smart by keeping this age of sail restriction. It means that they're very difficult for them to catch, so they can't catch too many of them, right? But one of the things they do is on some of the King R's hunting vessels, they allow people to come in. They allow anyone who wants to come in and join the crew as part of the crew to hunt and kill the King R's creatures, right? And so these are Ryeshar crews who replace 25% of their crew with people who pay them to be on the crew, right? And so they're serving as workers for the Ryeshar, but paying the Ryeshar to do it, right? And the reason why is this is very adventurous, right? It's a genuine adventure, right? You get to say, I killed the King R's, right? So Cardassians do this, Vulcans do this, And Vulcans are rare. Cardassians do it a lot. They love it. And then Andorians do this. And then finally, like half the people who do this are Klingons. Klingons absolutely love this. And what's really wild is the Ryeshar actually charge Klingons double or triple of anyone else who comes on. It's not equal per species, which is really kind of a dark reality. But we are going to pose as Cardassians, and we can disguise ourselves, and we're going to enter in and get, and go down. So there's, and actually Ferengis do this as well. So we're gonna go down, and we're going to pose as King R's hunters, right? So like exactly like a safari hunter, right? Or like a marlin fishing trip, like grab your beer, grab your beer cooler. We're going King R's fishing. Now the reality is, there a lot of this is incredibly dangerous because like middle tier Ryeshar hunters are assigned to these boats. They don't put the worst hunters on there because they do want it to be they want people to have a chance of surviving, and they don't put the best ones on there because they want the best ones to make sure they are always getting a steady flow of King R's meat, right, for the market, and for the poison, and for the bones. All the whole thing is valuable, right? So that's what we're going to be going in as, and the away team is Tucker, Sato, Archibald, and Mayweather. Okay. All right, away team is set. Get your gear, and then each one of you can bring an additional person, right? So this can span up to 8, right? So at that point, Tucker says, okay, we'll meet you on the shuttlecraft in 4 hours, right? And that's where I'm going to cut it off there. So this is a big episode. A lot happened in this one. Thanks for your patience. So every single word you just heard is my humble opinion on Star Trek Adventures Warp Onyx campaign. The important part is where I get to hear your humble opinion on Star Trek Adventures Warp Onyx campaign when you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.